Chris, I just saw Spencer. He said it's okay that Matt goes first, so we're ready to go.
Okay, excuse me.
Speak my piece. I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to ask the questions today. Ask the reporters I got a few questions for y'all today, so I need everybody to answer and whatnot.
You got a question for the group, Matt?
Oh yeah. When everybody ready, I guess, is you starting on me, I guess. Well, yeah, I'm the reporter. We gonna start on me. So my first question is, how did everybody get into reporting? What was this always your dream, or what? How y'all get into it?
Big giant of a question out there from Matt Hankins to the group. How did you get into this profession? Anyone want to take it?
Yeah, I'll go first.
There you go.
All right, I'll go first, Matt. I played high school football. I wasn't good enough to go anything above Division III football, and decided that I still wanted to be a part of it and cover it. And that was an area where I was pretty good. So that's what I decided to go with it. I'd been working in newspapers since I was 16 years old. So that's kind of how I got involved in it.
We'll throw the same question out there, Matt. We'll take this one from Leah Van. Leah, you got an answer for Matt?
Yeah, so I'm new to the beat. I'm Leah Van from the Gazette. I actually got into sports reporting because I was featured in Sports Illustrated a very long time ago. At 15 years old, I was diagnosed with cancer, and the top running back in the nation who won the National Gatorade Player of the Year award went to my high school, and he would visit me a lot in the hospital. So Sports Illustrated wrote about it, and I decided that someday I wanted to write stories about people like that. And as an athlete, I played volleyball, I ran track, I grew up in Texas. So football has been a huge part of my life, and I've always wanted to cover it. And so this is essentially my dream job. So that's how I got into sports reporting.
It's very cool. You're doing all right.
Well, we're still ahead of schedule, so we'll take the third answer from John Bowenkamp, a third perspective from the Wise Owl. Go ahead, John.
Matt, I grew up reading newspapers. We were a household that had a morning newspaper and an afternoon newspaper delivered, and I thought it was what I wanted to do. I was a big sports fan. Wasn't that good of an athlete, so I thought I like writing, like being a part of it. So that's why I've been doing it since I graduated from Iowa in 1988.
Okay, that's very cool. Very cool. Let me see. I got one more question. How many stories do y'all write a week?
The question from Matt Hankins: how many stories do you all write a week? I'm sure that answer might vary, but Pat Hardy, you want to take a stab at this one?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
I try to do at least one or two a day, and try enough to just keep the audience engaged. And in response to your first question, one of the reasons I got into journalism was because I was terrible in math, and I could actually get a degree in journalism without having to take any math.
Okay.
That was part of it. So, I mean, I guess everybody has their story, but yeah, you got to try to at least do one or two stories a day just to keep the readers engaged.
Okay.
Now we're about ready to get started. So let me ask you, how long have you been thinking about those questions? Is this a profession you've considered?
Nah, not for me. I don't like to write too much. I mean, I can do it when I have to, but if I don't have to, I choose not to. But, I just started thinking about it after practice. I was like, let me switch it up today. Let me ask you guys a question. They always asking us and whatnot, so.
Well, I'm glad you did. I learned a few things about a couple people on here. That being said, we'll throw it out to some questions for Matt Hankins. Pat, I see your hand up. Do you have a question for Matt?
Yeah, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah, I just, as a senior leader on this team, do you approach it a little different this year? I mean, being one of the senior leaders on this team, is it any different for you how you approach things?
I mean, for sure, being a senior leader, I'm more experienced. So really my job out there is just being the coach, like the player coach, really. So, because, it's different hearing it from the coach, but you hear it from one of your own peers, you might take it in a little bit more. So.
The next question, Matt, is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Matt, I think you might end up becoming the first Iowa player to ever to start games over 5 years. What was that process like for you in late December and early January when you're deciding whether to give the NFL a shot or to return, and why ultimately did you decide to come back to Iowa?
I just come back because, it's still a lot of my game I can work on, and, my weight and whatnot, being more physical and things like that. So, I decided why not stay another year. I have the opportunity to, so I can improve. The chemistry with the team was good last year, so it can only get better this year. So that was the whole idea, the whole plan.
The next question, Matt, is from Tom Kakert.
Hey, Matt, how much did you lean on Coach Parker when you were making that decision to come back, and what was his advice to you during that process?
Really, I ain't lean too much, to be honest. It was really just between me and my family and my trainer back home. But, his advice was whatever I did, he was going to support it. When I told him that I was coming back, he was just extremely happy that I was coming back. I'll be able to help out with the players and, things like that, I guess.
Matt, the next question from Leah Van.
Yeah, Matt, I was reading through some stuff yesterday about last summer, and you were pretty outspoken about your thoughts on everything that went down. And I was just wondering where you're at now and what your message is to fans this season with regards to the social justice status in America and, Chris Doyle leaving the program.
My thoughts are the same as the last. We kind of moved on from that. It's nothing to move on from, but you got to do what you got to do. You feel me? We discuss it as a team. We know where we stand. So together we are one. We all got different backgrounds and whatnot. So everything not gonna be the same, but as long as we respect each other's decision and whatnot, I feel like nothing can go wrong.
Matt, the next question from Pat Hardy.
Yeah, Matt, kind of piggybacking off that. Have you seen a lot of change? Do you think things are a lot different now compared to where they were before that stuff all happened last summer? A lot of positive change?
I can't speak for other teams, but for our team, for sure, a lot of positive change, most definitely.
The next question, Matt, from Mike O'Brien.
Matt, now that we can count journalism out, your bio says you're a business major. I'm just curious, life after football for you. Obviously, you hope there's a professional career there, but what are your interests, of getting into? What career path would you hope to take with that degree that's not football?
I'm looking to do clothing, real estate, property build up, investing, things like that. Just try to get multiple sources of income any way possible.
The next question, Matt, is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Matt, over your tenure, no Power 5 program has more interceptions than Iowa. Over the last 3 years, no team in the country has given up fewer yards per play than Iowa. You return everybody in the secondary. What can you guys do as an encore to get better and to improve upon those numbers, which are among the best in the country?
The way I think there are 2 ways to do, either continue to rise or to fall from that. Fall by just you got the most interceptions, the least yards given up. You fall back, stop doing what you're doing, or you just improve, continue doing what you're doing, and some, and you only get better if you do that. So,
Matt, the next question is from Tom Kakert.
Matt, you guys have been fortunate to have a lot of really good pass rushers the last few years that kind of help you guys in the secondary. What have you seen from that D-line? It's very different this year. What have you seen from them so far in practice?
yeah, it's different for sure, but got a lot of potential. Got a lot of young guys that are working well, working very hard. So, it's spring practice. It's not going to be perfect right away. Like, we're not playing a game next Saturday. So, of course, got a lot of things to work on, but it's looking good so far.
The next question from Scott Reister.
Hey, Matt, is it any different? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Knowing there's going to be fans in the seats and it's going to be back to quote unquote normal or kind of what we were used to prior to last season. How does that change your kind of approach to the spring? And are you guys a little more excited knowing, compared to last year when there was really so much was up in the air? Does it feel better from your standpoint, or how has it changed?
It's really the first time hearing that we're going to have fans fully, but it shouldn't change anything really. It's going to make the games a lot more exciting, because the crowd do play a big factor when opposing teams come in here. But as far as, studying film, learning your opponents, it shouldn't change anything.
Matt, we'll circle back to Scott Docterman.
You're facing a lot of different receivers because for 4 years you've been going against Amir and Brandon in practice. What are some of the newer guys like? How are they progressing in both in your skills and your 7-on-7 workouts?
They all have skill sets, honestly, different sizes, speed. So, just studying film on them, learning their techniques, before, but they all still a solid group.
Matt, the next question from Leah Van.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much of a difference does it make to even have spring practice this year? I mean, the defense already was very impressive last year, and I just wanted to know, how does it feel to have spring practice back?
It's huge because last year we didn't have it, so we missed out on a big developmental period. So this year for all the young guys, because last year for the freshmen last year, this is their first spring ball. So they didn't get to have that period where they got to work on their techniques and all that. So we finally get to do that. So it's a huge thing to have it back.
Take the final question for Matt Hankins from Grant Becker.
Matt, thanks for flipping the questions on us. I hope you keep doing that this season. We're going to talk to a couple other of your fellow defensive backs today. Is there any questions that we should ask them?
I guess who be bringing the most energy?
Merriweather, Moss, Kerner.
Yeah, that's a good question. You gotta ask them. I'm gonna always say I bring the most energy, but you gotta ask one of them.
All right, Matt, thanks for taking the time, and thanks for wanting to get to know a little bit about the audience in front of you. Wish you nothing but the best. All right, Matt Weitzel's on site, and he's going to try and mess with that microphone.
Is that any better, Chris?
Yeah, that is significantly better. It kind of comes in and out though, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Spencer Petrus, thanks for joining us. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm doing real well, thanks. Anyone out there with a question for quarterback Spencer Petrus, throw your hand up in the queue and we will work our way down the lineup. The first question, Spencer, is from Scott Docterman.
Spencer, how are you?
I'm good, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was wondering what was your evaluation like of yourself over the last couple of months? I'm sure you spent way too much time probably breaking down what you did right, wrong, either way. What was your evaluation on what you think you did well and maybe what you need to improve upon?
Yeah, sure. We spent a lot of time the last 8 weeks before spring ball going over self-scout, watching the games from last year. I think the big takeaway that I've made, as well as Coach O'Keefe and Coach Brian, is I want to get that completion percentage up to about 65% at least, and I think that comes from mainly two things. For me, it's taking gifts more efficiently. So if I have an easy completion, I might as well take it, that kind of thing. And then big thing is ball placement on these timing routes. That's an area where I know I can improve, and I have the last 8 weeks. So those are kind of the two areas there. Really want to focus on, taking matchups when they present themselves. And yeah.
The next question, Spencer, is from Chad Leistico.
Hi, Spencer. We talked to Kirk last week, and he said quarterback's open competition, but he likes what you've shown so far. Do you? What's your mentality? Where do you want this competition to be by May 1st?
I'm not really worried about any competition. I'm more so focused on myself, and kind of like I mentioned, I want my completion percentage to be at least 65%. You know, I need to improve on the things I mentioned to Scott. That's kind of what I focus on. You know, I think it's kind of silly to worry about kind of anything except how I play and the way I do things. And yeah, that's my focus right now.
The next question, Spencer, is from Tom Kakert.
Hey, Spencer. Was wondering, you know, during your film study, did you look at other guys and kind of learn from their film study? And also, what does it feel like to have spring this year, because you didn't get that last year, and how important is that for you?
Yeah. So, you know, your first question, I watched a good amount of Mac Jones and him working in Alabama's offense, because I think he does a lot of really, really good stuff, you know, that I can kind of try and emulate in my game. So that was a guy I really studied, you know, the first 8 weeks of the semester. And then, yeah, spring's great. You know, spring's an opportunity for us older guys to, you know, continue to develop our chemistry and really work on our offense. And really it's 15 practices to just improve. And then for young guys, you know, a lot of time, this is their first real opportunity to get some real reps with our offense, you know, learn the system and learn how to execute efficiently in our system. So it's been great. It's awesome to be out here, and, you know, we need to continue to stay vigilant with COVID so we can continue to practice.
Spencer, the next question from Scott Docterman.
You know, Spencer, there was a real clear line between when you got the ball out of your hands fast, like 2.5 seconds, and then afterwards, when you had it out of your hands in 2.5 seconds or less, you completed, you know, 66% of your passes. But after that, it kind of went from there. Was that a figment almost of a script or by design? And is that next step just kind of developing more comfort and rapport with some of your receivers?
I mean, I think anytime you get the ball out of your hands fast, it's a good thing for our offense. You know, Tom Brady's kind of the king of that. Like, I forget what playoff run it was. It might have been his last Super Bowl in New England. I think in the playoffs, he averaged 2.2 seconds getting the ball out of his hand. And I mean, obviously, like, you know, if you're getting the ball out fast, it means it's not a super deep route. So those are going to be easier to complete. So, you know, it's not an exact science, but generally in a concept, and just me as a player, you know, is if I'm getting the ball out on time, which is, you know, usually depending on the concept, you know, around 2.5 or lower, then we're going to be in good shape. You know, get in trouble if you hold on to the ball too long, you know, take multiple shuffles at the top of my drop. Again, depending on the concept and the coverage, but yeah, the faster you get it out, you know, the better shape we're going to be in.
The next question, Spencer, is from Leah Van.
Yeah, I'm kind of piggybacking off of that. You lose 2 veteran wide receivers this year, and I was just wondering, how have these like new targets on the offense been, and who has been really standing out? Who are you really meshing with on as far as like the wide receivers go?
Yeah, right now we're doing a great job of kind of receiver by committee. You know, we've got some veterans, Tyrone Tracy, Nico Regini, Max Cooper, Charlie Jones, those guys, and then we're bringing along the young guys. You know, the guys that are in their first spring, guys like Desmond Hudson, Jackson Ritter, you know, even early enrollees, Arlen Bruce and Keegan Johnson. So it's really by committee right now, and I think you know, the older guys are doing a great job of leading the younger guys. And overall, I think it's been a really good spring, and it will continue to be a great spring of growth for the young guys, and kind of like I mentioned, of refinement of skills and growth and chemistry for myself and the older guys.
Take the next question from Grant Becker.
Spencer, basically the exact same question here, but about your tight ends. You had a great connection with Sam and Sean from the start, and you got Sean gone now. Out of the non-Sam Laporta guys, who's been standing out to you early on here, and how important is that going to be with the way you utilized tight ends last year?
Yeah, you know, I mean, Sam's obviously kind of solidified himself as our number 1 tight end right now. And I think the rest of the guys have done a great job competing for that, you know, number 2 tight end spot. You know, Luke Lachey, Josiah Mieneman, Bryce Schulte, Tommy Cujono, you know, I'll go down the list. We've got a lot of good guys that are working really hard and making great improvement. And I like what I've seen from really all of them. And, you know, as long as we kind of stay on the path that we're on and continue to grow, you know, we're going to like the results we get.
Next question from Pat Hardy.
Yeah, Spencer, as a fellow Grateful Dead fan, I'm just kind of curious. Do you listen to any particular music or songs from the Dead to get ready for a game, to kind of get your mind ready?
Yeah, on game day, at least in the mornings, I'm a chill kind of guy. Like I like to listen to the, more relaxed stuff. No song specifically in particular, but I love the Cornell album. Obviously, it's basically everyone does. Kind of anything off there will help me relax. On a game day. But yeah, pick your poison on that. Cornell '77 album, and
very good one.
I like it.
Spencer, the next question from Chad Leistico.
Yeah, you mentioned watching Mac Jones. That's obviously he's rising up the draft boards here. What traits do you like most about him, and do you feel like you can emulate some of those things that he was doing last season at Alabama?
Yeah, no, I think he does a really good job of getting the ball out of his hands fast, and he hits his guys in stride. Lets his playmakers run the ball. I think that a ton of their success this past year. Obviously, when you have two or probably three first rounders in those skills, it's gonna help. But a lot of what Mac Jones was able to do with just they want to get 7 guys in the box, and I'm just going to throw an out route to Devontae Smith, hit him in stride, and let him run with it. And that's something that I think is a really it's kind of a similar thing I can do in this offense, and really just making sure that the playmakers can catch the ball and run with it and make plays.
We'll take 2 more questions for Spencer Petras, and the first is from Leah Van.
Yeah, a lot of fans have been kind of critical of you in your first season, and I was wondering what your response to their criticisms are. And you were 3rd in the Big Ten in passing yards.
Yeah, it's all right. I got to sit behind Nate for 2 years, and I've seen our fans love Iowa football, and they just want the best for Iowa football. And it is what it is. I've had my fair share of experience, watching Nate deal with it, and then obviously, dealing with everyone has their own opinion, and that's okay. I'm not really, no offense to the fans, I could care less about what they have to say about my performance. I'm focused on my performance and kind of things we mentioned, like improvement and having a great spring.
Wait, to follow up on that, I saw on Instagram you got your 2nd vaccination, and I was wondering how you were feeling. And if you have a message to fans.
Yeah, I'd say I obviously recommend the vaccination so we can continue to move forward as a society and beat this virus. I feel great, feel good, and about 2 weeks from now I should be home free with this thing. So definitely recommend it.
Spencer, the final question this morning is from Scott Docterman.
Spencer, looking back through your last 2 games, the second halves, which maybe in the first 6 were at times a little struggles, at least numbers wise, you put together your 2 best second halves against Illinois and Wisconsin, which both had pretty good defenses. And how were you seeing things more clearly against those teams, especially Wisconsin? You had Amir, of course, going wild, but were you what did you see, and what was your comfort level like late in those games that helped you kind of put those numbers together?
I think it's kind of speaking a generality like that, like just the second half, play to play, it kind of depends on the play. Obviously against Wisconsin, that long touchdown to Amir, that was, he just did a great job of running by their defense. It's kind of a play to play thing. I can't really speak to a whole second half of a game or anything like that, because there are plays that I did well in those second halves. There are plays I didn't do as well as I'd like. So sorry, I can't really give you a great answer on that.
Oh, thanks anyway. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Spencer, welcome back to spring football. Thanks so much for your time this morning, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes.
We might take a little audio visual troubleshooting break here. Matt Weitzel is going to try one other thing. I see we lost some audio and video syncing there.
So I think the problem, Chris, is that the players are standing and there's really not much else I could do with the mic. Is that any better?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We'll live and learn. Let's do it. It sounds like we got Kayvon Merriweather ready to roll.
I'm actually going to go with Riley. Okay, Riley.
Good.
Yep.
How's it going, everyone?
You can take the mask off.
Oh, gotcha.
Riley Moss, we're doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for joining us here this morning, and welcome back to spring football. If anyone out there has a question for defensive back Riley Moss, throw your hand up in the queue. Riley, the first question this morning is from Grant Becker.
Gotcha.
Riley, we started by talking to Matt Hankins, and obviously he's a guy who had a choice to make this offseason with the bonus year, or he could go off and pursue that NFL dream. What does it mean to you guys to have him back and have his leadership and have so many starts under his belt to join you guys and have this experienced backfield or defensive backfield?
It's really nice, having us, I guess you call it a super senior. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's nice having him back, having his leadership for sure, like you said, because you can never have too many leaders out in the field. So it's nice to have him back there, even at corner. He kind of leads the corners a little bit, me and him. So it's nice having him out there. Plus we got Jack, Dane. So we got some kids back, which was nice.
The next question this morning, Riley, is from Chad Leistico.
Hey, Riley, it's been about 4 months, since the Wisconsin game. How would you were you guys able to have like a full winter, like a normal winter, I guess? I mean, with COVID and everything, were you able to kind of get a full winter conditioning? How would you describe the progress you made there?
Yeah. So we did end up having a full winter program, which was nice because we didn't really get that. Well, I guess we got last year, but it got cut off. So we got a full winter conditioning lifting cycle, and it was good too. The younger kids made a lot of progress, so that was good. It was well needed for our team to start off the year on a right foot and having a full winter conditioning.
Riley, the next question is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Riley, over the last 4 years, Iowa leads Power 5 programs in total number of interceptions and all programs and interceptions per game. What is it about the defense that enables you guys to put yourself in that kind of position? Is it partially the geometry that Phil Parker preaches all the time, or is there something specific that beyond that enables you guys to be in the right place, the right time so many times?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is, like you said, geometry, but then it's also, he preaches the little things. So, where you got to be, your technique, your fits, where you're reading, where your key's at. And that's a big thing personally for me. That's why I've gotten so many picks, is because of, just doing little things, and you'll end up in the right spot at the right time as long as you just keep doing the right things over and over again.
The next question, Riley, is from Tom Kakert.
Hey, Riley, what did you lost some receivers on the other side that you competed with in practice all the time. What do you see from some of the guys beyond Tracy and Reganey, who we know about? But what do you see from some of the other younger guys that so far in spring practice?
I would say the younger guys are stepping up for sure. I know Keegan just got here like a couple months ago. He came a semester early. He's been making a really good push. I think he'll be pretty good with time. He's been a standout for sure for the younger guys. I know Charlie Jones is doing a great job. He runs his routes crisp and stuff. So it's always a challenge, but it's good. It's good competition. So our receiver core, I know we lost some guys, but I think we got some dudes coming back for sure.
The next question, Riley, from Chad Leistico.
Hey, Xavier Williams from UNI enters the fold this year. I assume he's practicing, yes. And what do you know about him? What can you tell us about what he's done so far?
Yeah, so he's been practicing. I just met him. He came in at semester, so I've gotten to know him a little bit. He's an Iowa kid. He's a great dude. But what I've seen from him, he's got great hips, great feet, and he can make plays on the ball, which is good for our back end for sure.
The next question, Riley, is from John Bowenkamp.
Riley, with the depth that you guys have in the secondary, how much fun is this spring going to be with all the competition among you guys?
Oh, it's great. Especially, when we go team period and we're going against the offense, it gets chippy later in spring ball because you've been around the guys for so much. So it'll definitely breed a lot of growth, which is what we want out of spring ball since we didn't have it last year. So having that depth and always having people working next to you, I think always makes you a better player, especially, at your same position as well.
Riley, the next question from Leah Van.
You didn't have spring football last year, and I'm just wondering how much of a difference it makes and how you see it translating this fall. I mean, your defense is already pretty stacked.
I think it translates well, especially with gaining depth. Coach Ferentz had a poll after practice, I think after the first spring ball practice, and everyone had to raise their hands who's had a spring ball here. And I think 75% of the people on our team haven't had a spring ball yet. So I think it's really good for those kids who missed out on spring ball to really learn the defense, learn the offense, and it'll be good for our depth for sure.
Riley, the next question from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Riley, you bring back your entire starting secondary this year, and you have a couple of people in the two deeps that are very experienced. What's the next step this defensive backfield can take, and how will it help, especially the front line, which replaces so many great players?
I would say just being very consistent. You never reach your potential, and Coach Parker reminds us of that every day. So he just said, keep your nose to the grindstone, keep your head down. You can never be too good. So it's nice, like I said, having the depth because it really truly does breed a lot more competition, and it makes you a lot better player. So it helps having experience not only in the starters, but also the two deep as well.
The next question, Riley, is from Jet Beecham.
Hey, Riley, Scott touched on that a little bit, but obviously with the line, I mean, obviously having a good defensive line helps out a good backfield as well. And you guys worked together quite well last year. But, with that group replacing three different players, what have you seen from that unit, and how do you think that they can help you guys this year?
I've seen a lot of positive things for what I've seen. The only time I really see them in practice is in team, and they've been getting after it. I know John up front, John Wagner's been doing well. And they've been nasty, which is good. You have to have a nasty line. So I think that's part of the defense that we have is we teach trying to be nasty and have that edge to us. So.
The next question, Riley, is from Scott Docterman.
When Matt Hankins decided to return, I mean, he's had starts over 4 different years. What does he do well? And in what areas do you think he kind of helps lead or bring the secondary together?
Yeah, so I think definitely mentally, he knows the defense like the back of his hand. You can put him anywhere. You can play safety, cash, corner. But then also on the team aspect of it, he's been around most of us for a long time, and he always brings energy to practice, which I think we always have the best practices when we have that energy because everyone's having fun and everyone's flying around. So I think that's a big contribution that Matt makes, not just to the DBs, but to the team.
Is he going to be the one replacing Davion as the big huddle voice before games?
Could be. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
All right. If there are no further questions for Riley Moss, we will thank you, Riley, for your time this morning and wish you luck as you progress through spring football.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You bet. Thank you. Riley will slide out and Kayvon Merriweather will slide in. And then I believe we'll wrap things up with Jack Kerner. Matt Weitzel, can you hit the mute button for me, please?
There you go.
Thank you. Kayvon, how are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good. How's everybody else doing?
Think everyone's doing well. Thanks for asking. We will jump right into it. Kayvon, the first question this morning is from Scott Docterman.
Kayvon, it's good to see you. This is last year you kind of came into the season as the starter, actually the last 2 years, and then you got hurt. And last year was, you were able to kind of work your way into the lineup. What's it feel like now that you're entering year 4 and you've really put yourself in a position where you know the defense and you're secure kind of in your position?
I think right now it's kind of a time where I'm focusing on improving on, especially everything I did last year. Just kind of the small things is kind of something that Coach Parker's kind of been trying to like push me towards, just looking at little details and little things about offense, the offensive line, and stuff that I can keep a little bit faster, so I can play a little bit better, a little bit faster as well.
How did your basketball skills help you on the football field?
I think they helped me a little bit. I think some of my footwork, kind of moving and sliding with some of my defenders, and especially guarding other receivers. I think that helps me a little bit, kind of bringing that basketball background into the football field.
Kayvon, the next question is from Leah Van.
Yvonne, you were kind of one of the leading voices last summer when everything was going on, and I was wondering what improvements you have seen specifically in this program since last summer.
I think it's been major improvement. I think the way that we kind of stride on being together, I think, and focus on everybody's differences as well. I think that's something that we really push towards, and also like letting the players have a voice on the team as well. I think we have a little bit more voice, a little bit more say, and we can, if we see anything that's going wrong or any changes, I think we're more confident to go to our coaches and actually talk to them about those issues and see change within the program as well. I think that's one thing that's definitely changed within our program.
I saw that Broderick Binns really led a lot of Black History Month programming, especially through Twitter, and I was wondering if you learned anything new.
Anything new? I think one thing that I learned that's pretty interesting is that a lot of the inventions in America have came from African Americans. I think that's something that we don't really pay attention to of how many things that we've actually kind of came up with. I think I seen that the traffic light is one. Honestly, I didn't even know that the Black person actually kind of created the traffic light. And then you have like Madam CJ. I mean, I know about Madam CJ Walker, and then like the peanuts with what's his name? Oh, Washington Carver or something like that. I feel like I should know that, but
yes, George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver. I think there's a lot of things that African Americans have have brought to America, and kind of inventions and change that we brought that have been pretty astronomical to us.
Kayvon, the next question is from Chad Leistico.
Good stuff, man. How can a secondary change the game? I mean, you guys feel like you can be a dominant secondary this year?
Oh, most definitely. I think we can be a dominant secondary. We have so much experience in the back end. Dane has been starting since his freshman year, and then Jack is going on his third year of starting. I mean, I'll have experience in the back end. Then you have Matt and Riley, two definitely experienced corners. I think when we're all on the same page and we're all connected with one another and we all seeing the same things, I think that can be a huge jump, a huge boost for our defense going on forward into the next season.
The next question, Kayvon, is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, we know that sometimes a dominant defensive line can mask issues on the back end. Could you do the same thing in reverse? Can a dominant secondary help a young defensive line come together?
I think so. I think allowing us having the knowledge that we have, just locking down other defenders and understanding what we have to control on the back end. I think I mean, don't get me wrong, a good defensive line definitely helps us out a lot. But I think when we have so much experience on the back end, and then them being so young on the front end, I think we can kind of have that exchange of differences and be able to handle what we need to handle on the back end.
I think it was against Northwestern. Maybe it was your first start last year. You came up with a really big pop near the line of the scrimmage. I could be wrong on the game, but I think that was the one. What did that do for you from a confidence standpoint, playing the position you play and just coming up and doing something like that physical?
It gave me a lot of confidence, especially that being like the first game I really kind of started and played in. I think it kind of let my feet settle a little bit, boosted my confidence and let me settle into the game, into the speed of the game and everything. I think that play right there kind of really helped me out a lot with my confidence.
The next question, Kayvon, is from Chad Leistico.
Hey, Kayvon, I'm not sure if you know this, but we get to talk to Ray Braithwaite tomorrow. So I want to ask about him. This was his first winter as strength and conditioning coach. Any differences in how he approaches the job? And I know winter's a huge time for you guys versus Chris Doyle.
Not at all. No changes at all. I think he still pushes us the same. He still the work are still just as hard. He still demands the same amount of focus and intensity that Coach Doyle demanded from him. So I think Coach Braithwaite is doing a wonderful job in the strength and conditioning program with us.
The next question, Kayvon, is from Pat Hardy.
Yeah, Kayvon, assuming you watched it and a former basketball standout, what did you think of Baylor last night?
Baylor, oh man, they were playing wonderfully. I think they were definitely connecting on all cylinders. Everything that they put up was falling. They were playing ridiculous on defense. The hustle, the intensity that they played with, I think they definitely came to play. They definitely wanted a little bit more than Gonzaga did, I think, last night.
When you see something like that, does that make you miss basketball at all?
A little bit. Sometimes I do miss basketball a little bit. Some of the things that people out there doing, I remember myself making plays and doing things like that. So sometimes I kind of be like, man, I wish I was still out there hooping, but not too much.
The next question, Kayvon, is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could have any more thunderous dunks at the Rec like you did a few years ago. But when you watched the Iowa basketball team this year, what were your thoughts? And did you ever think, man, I could go out there and help them at least defensively and do some things if needed?
I think I think over the past couple of years, I think we've seen them grow as a team, especially from my time being there. I think this was a year that they really got it together and they really connected well. I think especially Luka Garza, having a player so dominant, having so much focus on him, allow other players to expand on their game. And I think it kind of demanded a lot more from them. And I think all the players pretty much stepped up to the plate when it came to that. I think, honestly, I don't think I could have done anything for that team, because especially how good they were playing. Everybody on that team, especially how good everybody on that team was playing. But yeah, but I think, maybe I could have did a little something there, here and there, but probably not too much.
Kayvon, the next question is from Jet Beecham.
Hey, Kayvon, obviously, good DBs make good wide receivers, and competition's everything in spring ball in order to make a really good team on both sides of the ball. What have you seen out of this wide receiver unit, especially after missing, guys like Amir and Brandon this year?
Everybody's really focusing up, and everybody's giving everything that they have. I think everybody's stepping up to the plate. You have pretty much all the younger receivers, the guys who didn't play as much, trying to step into those roles that Amir and Brandon kind of left for those guys. I think they're doing a wonderful job this spring. I can't wait to see the progress that they made from this spring into fall practice.
Is there anyone that's standing out so far to you?
Everybody's standing out. Everybody's doing a wonderful job. Everybody's doing what they need to do at the position. I can't really point any specifics out right now.
Kayvon, we have time for one more question, and we will finish up with Scott Docterman.
Yeah, I got kind of a two-parter here. One is, what does Matt Hankins coming back mean for the secondary? And the other part is, when you came in, you were a true freshman, I believe, when Hook was that moved to Cash. And what did he mean for you and watching him, and maybe how did that help you develop as a player?
Matt brings a lot of experience. He's been starting since his sophomore year, I believe. He has so much knowledge of the game. He understands. He can, especially on the sidelines, when he's in and when he's out there, he pretty much knows what's going on before the play even starts. He can see alignment, see the stance of the receivers, and he tells me things sometimes. So I think him having that experience of playing in this conference and playing in this league, I think that's what is going to really help our defense. And I think, and then with Hooker, pretty much that was probably like I looked up to him like a big brother. Everything he did, I pretty much was paying attention. I always asked him questions. I looked up to him really, especially my freshman year. I really looked up to him because he was doing so many things on the field. I wanted to kind of emulate that further on into my career. But like I said, every single time I seen him do anything, every single time I had the opportunity to, I always asked him questions. I always was picking his brain, asking him why did he do this, or how did he see this, and things like that. So Hook, my freshman year, was definitely somebody that I looked up to and somebody I looked at as a big brother.
Was Gino the same way, or was it different?
Oh no, Gino's definitely the same way. He basically was in the same position as Hook. When Hook left and Gino was kind of stepping into that role as a leader on our defense, especially my sophomore year, I didn't really know the entire defense. So Gino definitely helped bring me along and taught me the game a little bit more further along after Hook.
All right, Kayvon, thanks so much for sharing that insight. Good luck to you as you progress through spring football.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Hey, same to you. Kayvon will slide out, and Jack Kerner is ready to slide in. Thank you, Matt. Jack, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Jack, we'll jump right into it. The first question this morning is from Pat Hardy.
Yeah, Jack, as a Dowling grad, when did you first hear about Caitlin Clark, and were you surprised at all at how good she was this year?
I first heard rumors about her. I think it was like my senior year. I heard we just got a pretty good girls basketball player that was a freshman, and so I first started hearing about her when I was a senior. And I know her older brother Blake pretty well. I'm pretty good friends with him. But no, after seeing her in high school, I've seen her do what she did this year. I was not surprised at all. And I mean, I reached out to her and told her it's pretty tough to have a better freshman year start to a career than that. So,
Jack, the next question is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Jack, what can you guys do for an encore? You bring back everybody. You were one of the most prolific intercepting groups in the last handful of years in college football. In what ways can you collectively as a unit improve and probably help an inexperienced front line?
I think just the emphasis that we do place on turnovers is a big part of it. You know, the less we're out there, the less long drives we have to sustain are obviously going to help us. And you know, the front guys, they help us out a lot, getting pressure, not making us stay in coverage as long. So you know, it's our job to kind of reciprocate that back to them. And you know, if it's taking them a little bit longer to get to the quarterback, then it's our job to stay in coverage a little bit longer and also, you know, come up and fill those run gaps. But I don't foresee necessarily any issues. We got a lot of great guys, and Coach Bell, Coach Parker, you know, they do a great job of, you know, inserting guys in and doing a great job.
Are there any specific ball skills that you guys work on that kind of helps you, you know, with interceptions, maybe that, I don't know if other programs do or don't do, but just something that you know that you see that works, that helps you guys be, you know, able to intercept as many passes as you do?
In our individual drills, you know, we do place a big, you know, precedence on, you know, getting the ball thrown to us and focusing on catching the ball. And but the biggest thing that I think translates over is that we have a scoreboard, if you will, about getting interceptions, forced fumbles, picking up the ball after an incomplete pass, just things about that, just kind of get guys into the habit of getting to the ball. And so that's kind of the thing that we've, I think about 5 years ago, the coaches say they placed an emphasis on, and the results have obviously transferred over.
Jack, the next question is from Chad Leistico.
Hi, Jack. Curious if you knew of Xavier Williams at all. You guys are about the same age, I think. And what's it like having an accomplished guy like that kind of join a secondary that's already kind of full? I mean, how do you guys view that as leaders?
Yeah, I didn't have the chance of meeting him before this, but he's known some guys that I know that play over at UNI, Bronte Wells, and some of the guys who played over at Waukee. But I've had the pleasure of getting to know him really well so far, and he's a great football mind. He's got tons of experience, like you said, and we couldn't be more excited to have him help our team wherever he's going to fit in, whatever vision Coach Parker has for his back end. We're all gonna buy into that, and we're really excited to, you know, add even more experience to our already pretty experienced back end.
Jack, the next question is from Scott Docterman.
Jack, what do you see from some of the younger receivers? You had to go against Amir and Brandon for a long time, Sean Byer probably a lot, and one-on-ones. What do you see from some of the younger players, and is there anyone in particular that maybe stands out just 4 practices into the spring?
I'm seeing there's a lot of you know, like you said, Brandon and Amir gone. There's going to be some room for some guys to step up and maybe prove themselves a little bit. And so far what I've seen is, you know, the competition is there. And, you know, from a young guy standpoint, I think, you know, the guys that just came in, Arland and Keegan, both doing a great job getting kind of acclimated in the program. They both have some very obvious athletic traits, and they're just starting to get a feel for things, and they're definitely some guys that could potentially help us this year. And I'm excited about the receiver core, honestly.
What does Matt Hankins bring in coming back?
He just brings experience, leadership, and just a guy that just knows how to play defense and all the ways that all the little nuances that go into doing that. And there's something that can't be taken for granted. I think Coach Parker talks about the more guys that we can have that know what's going on rather than just being listeners, the better. And he's one of those guys that he's not necessarily waiting for a safety to give him a call. He already knows it, and we're just confirming it with him. So that's something that I definitely don't take for granted, and definitely excited to have him back.
Jack, the next question is from Chad Leistico.
How much command would you say Spencer Petras has over the locker room?
I'd say a ton. I mean, he's one of the most genuine guys on the team. He's a great leader, and the kid, you couldn't find a harder worker on our team. So I think everybody on the team has an immense amount of respect for him, including myself, obviously. And I'm excited to see what's going to come from that, because he's worked his butt off, and he's definitely kind of stepped into that leadership role and done a great job with it.
Jack, the next question is from Leah Van.
Jack, I was wondering what it's like having spring football back in general and how you see it translating in the fall. I know we heard earlier that 75% of the young guys haven't even had a spring football.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think after the first practice, Coach Ferentz kind of alluded to, he's asking everybody to raise their hand if they haven't done a spring ball yet. And it kind of blew my mind how many guys raised their hands. I mean, you got a guy like Dane Belton. He's played in 20 plus games, and this is his first spring ball. And that's something that I didn't really think about too often. And it's been quite a while. I think 2019 was my last spring ball, and I had young guys keep asking me about what the schedule's like and everything. And I had to tell them, like, I honestly don't even remember. So, but we've got a great start to it. And the weather obviously has been awesome, and I'm feeling real excited about it.
Take one more question this morning for Jack Kerner, and the final question will come from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, you guys work hand in hand with the defensive line in most situations, and especially their pass rusher and when you're in pass coverage. What do you see so far from them? It's early, I know, and you're not playing against another opponent other than Iowa, but are there signs that they're going to adequately be able to replace, 2, maybe 3 NFL draft picks?
And I think that's, like I said earlier, we kind of have a great system in place that can really, that prepares guys and gets them to get on, when their time comes, that they're able to be inserted and have a good understanding of what's going on. There's never too much necessarily placed on one position. We kind of really have a whole unit mentality where everything's one working piece. So, and the guys that have been in there have done a great job. And obviously having a guy like Zachman Valkenburg come back and was huge for us for him to, be able to translate some of that leadership onto these younger guys that are just starting to get their feet wet. But so far, from what I've seen, a lot of these guys are doing a great job kind of seizing that opportunity. And like you said, we don't know too much about what they can do on a game like situation, but from what I've seen on practice standpoint, there's no reason to worry, from my opinion.
All right, Jack, thanks so much for your time this morning, and good luck throughout the rest of spring football. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. All right, that concludes this morning's player session. Tomorrow we'll be back, I believe, at 12:30. Assistant Phil Parker, Ken O'Keefe, and Ray Braithwaite. So look forward to seeing you.